Okay, so welcome everyone. So we have with us today two prayers for week 9, and these were the prayers for which we did not have to use any talks or any uh, pre-conceived material, and this was just for our own silent reflection. So some of us may have gone through the prayers, or some of us may have not. That is also okay. uh, we can go one by one over each line, and then also one can share if you have not reflected earlier. So before I ask you to reflect one by one collectively, I will request you to share whatever your reflections are, in case you have gotten any time to reflect over first the prayer of January 8, 1914. Yeah, or maybe we can just read the prayer first and then begin the sharing. That is also okay. So, in case someone is ready, it's shared on the screen. One can just read and then we can begin sharing. Yeah.
I can share, but if we want to read it first, that's great too. So whatever you
Yeah.
prefer.
So you can read and then share. Is that
Okay,
okay?
perfect. Yeah, that's more than okay.
ठीक है, ठीक
Yeah.
है.
So January 8, 1914. Let us shun the paths that are too easy and ask no effort. The paths which give us the illusion of having reached our goal. Let us shun that negligence which opens the door to every downfall, that complacent self admiration which leads to every abyss. Let us understand that however great may have been our efforts, our struggles, even our victories, compared with the distance yet to be travelled, the one we have already covered is nothing, and all are equal, infinitesimal, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this, grains of dust or identical stars before eternity. But thou art the conqueror of all obstacles, the light that illumines all ignorance, the love that vanquishes all pride, and no error can persist in front of thee.
Yes. So would you like to share now?
Yeah, it's very overwhelming, the prayer in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I had, I had shared with you as well, like once we had heard that example that, once we are on the giant wheel and we are kind of all on giant wheels, especially, in different situations. Like, when the giant wheel is going up, it's 100% sure that it will go down. But our situation is that when it's going up, we're very happy. See, I'm rising, right? And when in life we are going down, we feel that, oh my God, I am falling. But we don't realize that with the fall comes the down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with this, I was reminded of that if we pay attention, if we are honest, if we are living like true, honest, aware lives, we know that what will lead to what. Like, of course, desires and which I don't know, greed tries to obviously cover up the realities. So here when the mother is saying, let us shun the paths that are too easy and ask no effort. And in reality, we feel that there are efforts everywhere, like somehow no effort lagta nahi, it doesn't feel there's ever no effort anywhere, but still, comparatively, I think it would be all relative. But let us shun the paths, not too easy, and ask no effort. The paths which give us the illusion of having reached our goal.
Mm.
So sometimes, we feel we have achieved, and that gives us that kind of, I don't know, that false sense of reaching somewhere that yes,
Yeah.
ye to, this happened, this was really good.
Yeah.
But here she is saying to shun that, and the negligence which opens the door to every downfall. So again, this is where I was talking about that example, that if I'm aware, I know where this would eventually lead me, right? Like if I have, I do 10 chocolates in front of me and they look like really amazing, I know that eventually, like if I eat them, I would have a stomach ache. So that is something that I know for sure, like almost. So just that is what I kind of got, that if you pay attention, no, and then it's, I think I don't know, I should not put my own words. Okay, so let us shun the negligence which opens a door to every downfall, the complacent self-admiration which leads to every abyss. I feel that I know, right? Like I know what to do. But if I look at my past, the things that I have, like, said to be known, double quotes kind, are the ones which have led to my, like, it's beautiful how, if one is open to it, that these slaps are so beautiful, that what was I thinking, right? Which leads to every abyss, and even the word abyss, right, like really takes me down. Like, let us understand that however great may have been our effort, this, I don't know, reminded me of, Rumi, that how far, how much further I go, how far I am. Like I see that. Okay, our struggles, even our victories, compared with the distance yet to be traveled. So this I found very humbling as well, because at times we reach a stage, or in between we have phases in which we feel I've done enough. I've had enough struggles. I don't want more struggles now. I think I've been tested enough. But if, and how it's like we keep adding कि मैंने तो इतना कर लिया kind, but this thing is like, you have no idea how much more we have to do. So you can just drop that thing कि I have done so much, because you cannot live with knowing कि okay, unless you are, unless you know how to drop the loads, you cannot take in this statement na, that there's so much more yet to do, because it will just be crazy. So there's no choice but to drop whatever we are carrying, because what we have to do now is so much more compared to what we have done. So the one we have already covered is nothing. Like nothing is not even little, right? Nothing is like nothing. And that all are equal. How do you pronounce it? Infinitesimal.
Infinitesimal.
Thank you. Grains of dust or identical stars before eternity. Yeah, I mean, again, see, it's so funny that how the grains of dust or the stars, they're actually the same, right? But still, when we use the words dust or stars, they sound so different, right? And the stars are the dust of the universe. So before eternity. So again, this was also an experiment now, which you also share at times, that when you're feeling that you're so big, or something so huge has happened to you, just see how you would look from, say, Jupiter, or how you keep going back. So again, that when you feel so I sometimes, I live in an apartment complex with so many apartments, like almost 800. So when I am feeling a bit, I don't know, here and there, I just see, where am I in the whole thing? Even if I just look at my complex, so many lives, so many dreams, so many this, it just humbles me, kind of a thing, that before eternity. But thou art the conqueror of all obstacles, the light that illumines all ignorance, the love that vanquishes all pride, and no error can persist in front of thee. I really, again, very strongly like the no error can persist in front of thee, because it also, just takes away everything from my doership. It's like if you keep offering, if you keep aspiring, and then at the, I know this, knowing that in front of him, nothing that is not true will be left. It takes me off the hook every time, right? कि ठीक है, obviously I see things, and it's a process, and things are happening. Yeah, and at all. Yeah, I don't know, one or two more things I thought of, but I've forgotten. So I think I've spoken enough. So thank you so.
Thank you. Yeah. So anyone else would like to reflect on the same prayer, January 8th?
Yeah, I'll go, Monica.
Yes, Chitraji.
Yeah, this prayer, this thing, no, let us understand that however great may have been our efforts, our struggles,
Mm.
that is very true. But another aspect came to me actually,
Yeah.
because yeah, Shirbindo and Mother, no,
Hmm.
they laid the path before us now, actually.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, this prayer is prayer to that
Hmm.
1914. No, after
Hmm.
both of them met, Mother and Shirbindo met.
Hmm.
Actually, at one time, Mother asked, it seems, Shirbindo whether to open the doors to everyone
Hmm.
or to only for limited souls, very few sadhaks. No,
Hmm.
they opened the door to universe. Actually, everyone
Beautiful.
can. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
So they put the path before us.
Hmm.
So I feel actually all these efforts, all these struggles, and
Hmm.
everything they have undergone. Now
Hmm.
the path is open before us. Of course, there are struggles,
Hmm.
but compared to that grace, compared to that love,
Hmm.
infinite love, that
Hmm.
struggle and effort, I feel I don't. I mean, I don't feel much actually.
Beautiful.
Those
Beautiful.
struggles are there.
Hmm.
Those
Yeah.
always her hand is there, no? Because
Hmm.
if I see my travel from
Hmm.
95, 96, every month I used to go by, I mean, to ashram
Hmm.
without taking the criticism. I don't know which part urged me to go like that. Sit
Hmm.
before the samadhi for some time. In the afternoon, my children will come back from school. So
Hmm.
I have to go back actually 3 hours journey from Chennai to
Hmm.
Pondicherry. So
Hmm.
every month I used to do like that. So now
Hmm.
it is not my effort, really not my effort.
Hmm.
Nothing we can do like that, no, actually. Only
Yeah.
mother's grace and her abundant grace, I can say that her love,
Hmm.
total love actually. So
Hmm.
that thing came to me actually suddenly, because it is not they opened the path, they laid the path, now they are taking us towards the path.
Hmm.
So maybe surrender may not be fulfilled actually. There may be so many things, but
Hmm.
without minding everything, she's till today, she's teaching actually.
Hmm.
So this thing came to me. Even the next prayer also, I felt like that. That
Hmm.
teach us always more, give us more light, dispel our
Hmm.
ignorance. Yeah, still till today she is doing it actually.
Hmm.
So whether the opening is full, whether my surrender is full, without
Hmm.
minding anything. Yeah.
Hmm.
These
Hmm.
things came to me actually. When I
Hmm.
read these two prayers, I felt like
Yes.
this only.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
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 Thank you. Yeah.
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 Monica.
Anyone else? Yes, Josna ji. Yeah.
Basically, when I read it, I just felt that uh, all all of us, who are on this path,
Hmm.
we often feel we've done so much, we struggled so much. So, we must reach somewhere. Or,
Hmm.
like, for instance, for myself, I feel I'm 63, I have no time. Mother, hurry it up. There's not
Hmm.
much time left. And then you think from somewhere an inner voice says, yeah, but you don't need time. You'll suddenly
Hmm.
just get it. It'll come in a
Hmm.
snap. So
Hmm.
basically, when we lie down complacent and when sit back and relax and say, nahi, ab bahut ho gaya, ab let me wait, that's when we fall behind, I
Hmm.
think.
Hmm.
Once we
Hmm.
stay doggedly on it, on it, on it, without any expectation,
Yeah.
then he will illumine, mother will do something or whatever we must not expect.
Hmm.
Then only it will probably
Hmm.
some we will be sort of taken along at each of our own pace.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because
Beautiful.
for
Beautiful.
everyone it's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, we should not relax along the way.
Hmm. Hmm.
We have to remain and keep that awareness throughout continuously at the same pace or even faster.
Hmm.
That's what I gathered from this, and that her love and Sri Aurobindo's love and the Lord's love is just limitless. There's no end. whatever we do,
Mm.
we are still enveloped by them.
Mm.
Absolutely anything, and we are just nothing.
Mm.
Basically, I think it's a lesson in humility for all of us to get humbler than what we are, and humbler and humblest.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I feel.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Shreya, would you like to share anything? And it's not again necessary, uh, as we were discussing last time, whether you connect to any particular name or not, it doesn't matter. Just share any reflection if there.
I don't think I really have anything else to say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go over these lines once more in like very slow, gradual process, and let's see if anything comes up. Please share, unmute and share, and let's see if there is anything more, some elaboration or anything. Yeah. So January 8, 1914. Let us shun the paths that are too easy and ask no effort, that are either too easy or ask no effort. Now, if I want to stay with my older tendencies, then as Taru was sharing, no path is easy. So even there, I will face some difficulties or struggles, surely. But Mother is sharing two things that are too easy and ask no effort. So either they are just too easy. So when inertia sets in, when we are just following tendency after tendency, and we are not really looking, caring to investigate our tendencies or patterns of thoughts and behavior, then it's relatively easy. So I don't need to change. People can change around me, but I don't need to change. I am who I am. So that's relatively easy. But it's not that I don't face any issues there also I keep facing a lot of difficulties, and it's good that I face difficulties because that is how I move from inertia of tendencies. Okay, so just like we were reading in Savitri, that as if there are grooves, like planets have grooves, like orbits in which they just keep on revolving and revolving for centuries after centuries. So these grooves have set in, and for me it is very easy to to just follow this momentum of the grooves. Like, so I don't need to question, I don't need to check my behavior, I don't need to check my thought patterns at all. I can just always put all the things on others or the world to change, and then it's relatively easy. I don't have to change, right? So these are the paths which Mother warns against. Let us shun the paths that are too easy. Now, what happens when we are in the paths which are too easy? We are stuck into a pattern. It may be a spiritual path that has just become a ritual. I'm stuck into a pattern. And whenever I'm stuck into a pattern, I'm ignoring a whole lot of myself, which I am, but I'm not having access to, owing to the fact that I'm not allowing any space for any exploration but the pattern itself. So there is only pattern, pattern, pattern in my life. There is no space for any, kind of shades of gray or, anything beyond that grooves of patterns. The paths which give us the illusion of having reached our goal. We have all experienced in our lives that we have phases in our life where we feel, okay, this is enough. Wow, what a beautiful experience. I think I know what truth is. uh, and then we again are moved owing to some other difficult or challenging experience from that space of falsely knowing that I know. And again, that is the beauty of the universe, that it does not let us stay for a long time in one particular groove. It keeps on giving us signals. The signals may come through diseases, the signals may come through a difficult spouse, the signals may come through any emergency, any urgent medical condition, tragedies, traumas, these are all signals that, hey, move out of your groove. And sometimes I'm capable enough to read those signals, sometimes I'm not. So these signals keep on coming up, so that we are not falsely believing that I know how life is to be lived and that is it. There is no other way. I know. And truth is so infinite. Truth is a pathless land where one can just be and follow so many various number of practices, or without practices, I would say, and just be a follower of truth or a servant of truth. So when we say I know what is the path, first of all, this is a huge a lot of arrogance that comes in the being, and secondly, that we have no clue. As in the later lines it says that we are nothing. It's not, we have, what we have covered is nothing. It's nothing that we have covered in front of what remains to be known, what remains to be yet manifested and yet seen and understood. What we have covered is nothing. So this is really very interesting, and those of us who have taken up to this life as an adventure, they would see that just to remain on this path is enough. I'm not now waiting for something to happen, some enlightenment to happen. Just to be on this path of self discovery, taking each and every experience as a revelation to myself, is enough unto itself. Like karm bhi wahi hai, phal bhi wahi hai. So who is waiting for another, uh, after 2 years or after 3 years, where will I reach, if I am on this path? I will only keep on waiting for some better result, so called better result, only if I am not really on the path of life as an adventure. Because if every experience becomes an adventure, then the adventure itself is the joy, is the progress, challenging our limits every time, challenging my own conceptions about myself every time, looking with new eyes at myself and the world, every time, newborn, as a newborn child, each moment whenever I'm capable. So mother is saying that let us shun that negligence which opens the door to every downfall. The complacent self admiration. Now, self admiration is that I have formed an image about myself that I am the one who has reached, and hence I need no further, sadhana anymore, or whatever. I have become what I needed to become. Now, the fallacy why mother says that this is the illusion of having reached. Why the illusion of having reached? Because there is no particular place to reach. And that is why people say enlightenment is a myth. Every moment I can stumble. Every moment I have the choice whether I am a Kabir, or whether I am truly myself, or whether I am in the plunges of falsehood. Every moment this is open. The doors are open, either heaven or hell. So there is no particular time after which there is no returning back to the ego domain. And that is why Kabir says in his dohas that मन को मृतक जान के मत कीजिए विश्वास. Agar if you think that the mind is gone, you have mastered the mind, don't be so uh, foolish about it, because the mind does not die so easy. So a true sadhak on the path will be vigilant, will be sincere, so long as his breath is there in the body. So there is no illusion, there can never be then an illusion that I have reached, because there is no place that we need to reach. Infinite cannot be reached. Infinite can be just adventured upon. And that is why we say surrender is a path, it's not a goal itself. Surrender is not a place that today I complete my surrender after 50 years. It will never happen. The path of surrender is an ever unfoldment of life and its beauty. And that itself is enough. Those of us who have seen what beauty it is, right? So that's the illusion, that there is no particular place to be reached, because the moment I say that I have reached, what am I actually saying? I am saying that the divine is finite, because only finite can be reached. Infinite can never be reached. Now, I can reach from Delhi to Bombay. They are finite places, they are like bordered places. But I can never reach the divine or truth in completion, because truth and divine, they are not something finite, they are ever expanding, ever expanding. And in the next prayer, Mother will say that the moment I feel that I have conquested, I see that you are further away, you are further away, you are further away. So it's almost like that, that infinite can never be reached, finite can be reached. If I have an image about myself, I can reach that image, I can touch that image. But divine is no image. Truth is a pathless path. Truth is a unknown place, and that is why so many names for truth, as we call as agye, that which cannot be known. So the moment I say I have known, it's a fallacy, it's illusion. What am I claiming? That which can never be known, I have known that. So that's the biggest illusion Mother is warning us against. It's only a path which can be felt, lived, and experienced, and the beauty can be only an inspiration for us to be on the path more and more. The beauty and joy, and the joy of progress that we face, often on this path. So this is the negligence. The negligence is the moment I say that I have reached, it is a path towards a downfall. Why? Because then I will stop adventuring. I will stop being receptive. I will stop being attentive, being listening, and listening to the sounds of the universe. Because I will say I have nothing to listen now, because I have reached. There is nothing more to know. So it's like, as Mother also says, that one has to have almost a childlike innocence, and a child never declares that I know. The child just is an explorer, a curious explorer, and that exploration itself is the side effects are joy, progress, and adventure. So this is what was coming to me on these lines, and keep on sharing whenever you have newer reflections on these lines. Yeah, let us understand that. And what is the abyss? The abyss is an illusion of knowledge, where Mother says complacent self-admiration which leads to every abyss. That I know myself to be a limited person, and this limited person now has known infinity. Right? So this is the abyss. So I will plunge deeper and deeper into this image or illusion of knowledge. Let us understand that however great may have been our efforts, and if we look at individual journeys, each one of us has a unique individual journeys. So however great, we may have really traveled distances. However great may have been our efforts, our struggles, even our victories, compared with the distance yet to be traveled, the one we have already covered is nothing. It's nothing. It's really nothing. Look at the dot that Earth is in the magnanimity of galaxies. It's just a dot. Just a dot. So we don't even know the expanse of the manifestation. Forget about the unmanifested. We don't even know the expanse of manifestation, and here I am declaring, I know. And as you were all sharing, that it's a lesson in humility. In the last prayer also we were reading that how the first thing is humility, and even the last is humility. So if my knowledge, if my path is not making me more and more grounded, and more making me realize that no matter how much may I know, I will really never know, then something is haywire. I'm still making images and conceptions about truth, and not really living a path of truth. Yeah. And that all are equal. So what are equal? our victories and our struggles and failures are equal. They're equal. So because if it's just a dot, if it's all just a grain of sand equivalent to that, then even my struggles and victories, they must be equal, right? So in victory, then I need not jump up really high, and in struggles I need not really go down too harsh on myself, because I know these are just passing phases, right? So this also brings equanimity into picture. Along with humility comes equanimity, that I will not be really too jumping up with joy in my so-called victories or happy days, because I know that when very soon the so-called bad days may come, I will go through them. What's the big deal? That is the adventure. So here, all are equal, infinitesimal grains of dust or identical stars before eternity. Mother does not even say unique and special stars, identical stars, as if victory and struggle has nothing really peculiar. They're all the same. Now if we look at life, the whole field of life, just as a field of experiencing, going through experience after another experience, victory being one experience, struggle being another, bad phase being another, good phase being another, then what is to be really special? And yet everything is special, paradoxically, before eternity. And then mother ends the prayer that yes, all this is there, but thou art the conqueror of all obstacles, the light that illumines all ignorance, the love that vanquishes all pride. So, mother is saying, yes, the pride, moments of pride can be there, vanity can be there. I may plunge into phases of abyss and ignorance, yet who is present everywhere? You, the conqueror of all obstacles. And no error, no falsehood can persist in front of thee. Now, this thee that mother shares, this divine that mother addresses to, first of all, it's not something theoretical. We all know that, right? We all know that it's not something theoretical. Now, secondly, if we actually look at this light that mother shares about, the light that illumines all ignorance, it's not a very mystical light. It's a very obvious light that illumines our life. The light of understanding, the light of honesty, as some of you were sharing. When I'm with honesty, in sincerity, I'm ready to look at me and myself. This is the light. This is the light. And in front of that light of honesty, no error can persist. The light of consciousness, that which can see, and that is the light coming from the divine, that is the light of the divine consciousness. So mother is sharing that if one is honest, sincere on this path, mother shares, no error can persist in front of thee. So I cannot continue living in falsehood if I allow the light of illumination, the light of understanding, honesty, and sincerity to fall upon on my own patterns and the way I live life. And then no error can stay for long. It will soon be revealed. Yeah. So anything new? Would you like to share anything that came through the prayer? Yeah. Okay. So I'm assuming there is no remark. Then let's move on to prayer second, January 9, 1914. So is there anyone who would like to read? Shreya, would you like to read?
incomprehensible reality. Though whoever flees before our conquest, effective though it may be, thou who shall always be the unknown, despite all that we shall know of thee, despite all that we shall ravish from thy eternal mystery, we would go forward, making a complete and constant effort, combining all the multiple parts, go forward like a rising, indomitable tide.
Shreya, little louder, beta.
Yeah, Shreya, would you like to read it again
Yes,
from the starting? Yeah.
is it better now?
Ha, better.
Yes,
Lord,
yes, it's clear, clear.
incomprehensible reality, thou whoever fleest before our conquest, effective though it may be, thou who shall always be the unknown, despite all that we shall learn to know of thee, despite all that we shall ravish from thy eternal mystery, we would go forward, making a complete and constant effort, combining all the multiple paths leading to thee. Go forward like a rising, indomitable tide, breaking down all obstacles, crossing every barrier, lifting up every veil, scattering all clouds, piercing through all darkness. Go forward towards thee, ever to thee, in a movement so powerful, so irresistible, that a whole multitude may be drawn in our wake. And the earth, conscious of thy new and eternal presence, understand at last its true purpose, and live in the harmony and peace of thy sovereign realization. Teach us always more, give us more light, dispel our ignorance, illumine our minds, transfigure our hearts, and give us the love that never runs dry, and makes thy sweet law flower in every being. We are thine for eternity.
Yes. Yeah. So those of us who have reflected on this prayer and like to share first, would like to invite reflections from those on this prayer.
I will just share something. I don't have a lot to say.
Please, please.
Uh, Before, when I was reading it, I just read both the prayers today in the morning.
Mm.
Reflect a lot, but even before when I was reading this and now as well, the feeling that comes to me is that everything that I'm doing through the day seems pointless in a way
Mm. Mm.
somehow. Um,
Mm.
I don't know.
Mm. Beautiful.
Yes.
Mm.
Feels
Beautiful.
like I don't even have the words to express it properly, but it's just this feeling of कि हम कर क्या रहे हैं.
Wow. 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 That's really beautiful, Shreya. Yeah. Mm. Amazing. You say that you don't have words to express, but the one line that you shared, I think that conveyed it very strongly. Yeah.
Monica, can you repeat the line?
Yeah. The line that Shreya shared was हम कर क्या रहे हैं in day to day life. That is what really appealed to me. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so in absence of any particular sharing from you, I'll just begin to read one by one the lines, and if there is anything that comes, you can बीच में unmute and share. Lord, incomprehensible reality. The first two words itself. A reality that can never be really comprehended, that can never be really understood through the layers of mind, that can only be lived, felt, and experienced in bits and pieces. And that is why all the words, no matter how many millions of words may have been written pointing towards truth, they are all just pointers. Truth is beyond all those pointers. Lord, incomprehensible reality. And then Mother adds on to the metaphor, thou who ever fleest before our conquest. So the moment I conquest you, as if it feels, the moment I feel that I have reached, a victory has been, kind of given to me, I see that you are further away, as the quote from Rumi that Taru was sharing in the beginning. Thou who ever fleest before our conquest, effective though it may be. So the conquest may have been really very effective conquest. I may have really taken a baby step which I may have wanting to take for a lot of time now. And now some breakthrough has happened in my life. And even then the light of that breakthrough, no matter how brilliant it may appear, it is still far, far, far less and away from the totality of you, Lord. Thou who shalt always be the unknown, yea, that which cannot be known. Thou who shalt always be the unknown, despite all that we shall learn. So Mother is adding that we shall learn. So that is that what we will learn in future, that we shall learn to know of thee. Despite all that we shall ravish from thy eternal mystery. So no matter how what kind of beauty we may touch through these knowings and contemplations about you. Let me just say it again. I've just lost the thread. Despite all that we shall ravish from thy eternal mystery, we would go forward, making a complete and constant effort, combining all the multiple paths leading to thee, go forward like a rising, indomitable tide, breaking down all obstacles, crossing every barrier, lifting up every veil, scattering all clouds, piercing through darkness, go forward towards thee, ever to thee, in a movement so powerful, so irresistible, that a whole multitude may be drawn in our wake, and the earth, conscious of thy new and eternal presence, understand at last its true purpose and live in harmony and peace of thy sovereign realization. Now, when I was reading these lines, it appeared to me, the vision of a warrior just marching on and on and on in all, vigor and vitality, knowing that yes, this is the fight that I want to fight. And as one of the Italian mystics have said, thou art the love with which I love thee. So that warrior, the force and consciousness of that warrior is the love of divine itself that is pushing him again and again more and more towards more and more divine. So that intensity of our yearning that rises from the being is coming from the divine only. Otherwise, there cannot be that much of force and intensity in our seeking, in our learning and wanting to go on the path. So this is the beauty, that we think that we are marching towards the divine, but it is the divine that is marching towards the divine. Thou art the love with which I love thee. Because otherwise there cannot be that much of vigor and intensity and love and a seeking on this path. So the very fact that I am now full of force, consciousness, and vigor, that yes, this must be done, this is the path to be traveled, this intensity itself is a reflection of divine doing. It's a divine force that is at act in ourselves. It's almost like the veil is also created by the divine, and the march is also done by the divine of piercing layers after layers of ignorance. So where do then I come into picture? There is no I then I can see in the picture. Because this intensity is also given through the divine, by the divine. It is divine in nature. So the divine seeks the divine through a play of curtain and hide and seek, and then it becomes a leela. If I understand a bit of this, then it may become a leela. But when I am in trap of my own images about truth, and all the fallacies about my own self, then it feels more like a maya, like veils of ignorance, and I'm not able to make any sense. So even now, it's not that we are able to make sense, but there is a vigor in life, there is an intensity in life, there is something that I want to do in this life. Yes, I want to give my life to the service of truth. Now is the fun, now is the fun. So this vigor is the divine vigor. Only then it can be so powerful. Because when we talk about consciousness, the light of consciousness, the light of awareness, the light of understanding, always associated with consciousness comes force. Chit Shakti, consciousness force. So this force, which is now ready like an indomitable tide, breaking down all obstacles that may come into on my path, crossing every barrier, lifting up veil after veil. This is the force of the very divine consciousness. There is no separation then. I can now take it as play. And when I see what are the obstacles, mostly the obstacles are inner obstacles. There are rarely any absolute external obstacles that I am fighting against. Most of the obstacles, virtually all the obstacles, are inner obstacles. And the external situations come up in a way so that I am able to now take a stand and stand up for my inner reality. So the external opposition makes me stand up for my truth. That is why the external opposition is there at the very first place. Imagine that I am training in the gym. If there is a muscle that I need to train, and on the opposite wall there is a very hard kind of a spring that I have to move. So the hardness of the spring makes my muscle move. So the hardness of external situations are there always for a reason. They make our inner muscles move, right? So the more I put pressure on my muscles and try to move that external spring on the gym wall, I am actually, what I am doing is I am exercising my inner muscle. So it may seem that there is opposition on the external front, but that opposition on external front, people, situations in my life which may appear difficult, they're always there to exercise our inner muscles. That we now stand up for the truth, transforming our weaknesses into strengths, developing more and more conviction that yes, this is what I want to walk and live a life for. So irresistible. Mother says that in a movement so powerful, because whenever we stand up for our own truth, it is the divine strength that we connect to. And that's why we get the power. People who are working day and night in the service of truth, we see that they hardly have very much time to themselves, and yet they are on and on and on. Where is the strength coming from? This is the divine strength, because they are not working for consciously for their selfish motives. Although there are so many atavisms in us that many a times, even not knowingly, we are working for our selfish agendas. So that's why the vigilance and sincerity needs to be there at each moment. And then Mother says in the last few lines that so that the earth may understand its true purpose. What is the true purpose of earth? to live in harmony and peace, of thy sovereign realization, that now the divine that wants to now is that it's ready to manifest through our being. Can we allow and become porous and receptive to its manifestation? Can we allow inner harmony to be reflected in outer situations also? Is that a possibility? Just a second. Yes. Teach us always more, give us more light, dispel our ignorance, illumine our minds, transfigure our hearts, and give us the love that never runs dry. This is almost like a continuous prayer that can, be our daily prayer, because ignorance is almost never ending, right? Just a second. Yes. Is it audible? I've just changed my headphones. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Teach us always more, give us more light. And Sri Aurobindo says that this journey, this path is always from light to a greater light, illumination to a greater illumination. So the beauty is that there is no end to this path. And that is the beauty. Because if I am a true adventurer, if I am a true explorer, why would I want the adventure to end? Why would I want that I reach a place where I can just now rest? Because the adventure itself is restful. And as in the beginning, we were sharing that there is no time to relax. And even when we are relaxing in the divine presence. We are, as mother says, that the best way to relax when you are tired, maybe you have done too much through the day. The best way to relax is that, just be relax in my lap. It's a beautiful way to relax. So an adventurer has always, if I can use the word, the mother in our heart. And wherever I am on the path, I can relax, remembering the mother, resting for some time in mother's lap. And that is enough. That is enough for my recharging of batteries. Give us more light, dispel our ignorance. Each moment it has to be dispelled, because ignorance is almost just the divine is infinite, the ignorance is also infinite. So one can never say that I am now out of ignorance. There will be never a day then I can say that I am out of ignorance now and I can never go back again. It's not like that. In each moment there is a challenge: ignorance or light, ignorance or light, each moment. And that is why, coming from the mother, this prayer, mother is saying, give us more light. The divine mother herself is saying, give us more light, teach us always more, dispel our ignorance, illumine our minds. Illumine. A still mind, a silent, receptive mind is an illumined mind. A mind which has taken frequent dips in the holy, sacred river of our being, of stillnesses of the being. Illumine our minds, transfigure our hearts. Why transfigure? Because mostly what the heart that we use is emotional heart, emotive heart, full of desires, greed, passion, jealousy, all that, the frontal part of the heart. So mother is saying, transfigure the heart. And when we go to the depths of the heart, there we touch the true soul of our being, the depths of our heart. So through the emotive heart, let us, go to the depths of the heart again and again, and give us the love that never runs dry. The kind of love that we have, often it runs dry because it is mostly based on give and take. Now, this love that is coming from the depths of my being, that is my true nature. If I begin to live that love out, we will see more and more that this will be a love which will not ever be dry. Because dryness comes, I feel, when we are stuck in, unknowingly stuck in images about myself and others. And the moment I open myself to this exploration and receptivity and adventure that life is, that dryness has no place to stay. And dryness comes in several phases on this path, and give us the love that never runs dry. It is always bountiful, full of bounty, and makes thy sweet law flower in every being. The law of divine love, which is transformative in nature. The law of divine love, which is compassionate, forgiving in nature. The law of divine love, which is all encompassing and excludes nothing. That infinity. We are thine for eternity. So here in the last line, Mother gives again ourselves to the divine, that yes, this life belongs to you and not for my selfish motives and agendas and little pleasures and fun. I have done that enough. We have done that enough. And that's why the poignant line what Shreya shared, that all that I am doing appears so pointless. So it's a remarkable realization if this has dawned, that yes, in front of this eternity, in the front of what can be done in this life, actually our true day-to-day life begins to look really pointless. So that is the beauty of realizing our truth. Yeah. So anything coming to anyone would like to share on this second prayer?
One thing that struck me here was,
Yeah.
uh, as a surgeon, I can give a small example. I had a patient of rupture uterus. When the uterus just bursts and the baby comes out of it and comes out of the uterus and starts floating in the abdomen, which is life-threatening both for the fetus and for the mother. It's a question of minutes before death for both.
Yeah.
I had a case like this about 20 years ago. I think it was my third or my fourth. And this patient was dying, and the sister, the anesthetist, I rushed with her to the operating room, and the sister, the anesthetist, all said, "Don't touch her, doctor. She's going to die on the table. It's just a matter of 2 to 3 minutes." And I said, "No." And at that time, I just opened her up without anesthesia. The patient felt nothing. She was in shock. Got the baby out live, sutured the mother. There was a force working, it is spine chilling. You work with a blind faith, and both survived. And it's then that I went on my knees and I said, "This is not me. This is that force which is working through us." And to make us realize that I am there, all you have to do is just go on going ahead, having faith in me that I will do the work for you.
Beautiful.
And it happened. And I don't know if you all have seen the video of Dr. Devi Shetty of Narayan Hridayalaya in Bangalore. He prays each time he begins, and he also goes on his knees each time he finishes, because he says, it's not we who do it, it's the force that does it.
Beautiful.
And,
Amazing.
small things like this
Yeah.
wake us up to a reality that force is so all encompassing and all so powerful that I was literally like an instrument in the hands. I don't even know how fast I was. I had the baby out in 30 seconds, and I started suturing, and I closed in 18 minutes and I was out. And I
Beautiful.
said, how can a human being do it? And
Mm.
the force
Yeah.
that explains. So when you were
Beautiful.
telling me this,
Mm.
I realized that, we are little, not even ants, we are worse than that, but
Mm. Mm.
the force works, Monica.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
And when you see life pick up again, when you think it's,
Yeah.
suddenly the baby cries, the mother says, "Is my baby all right?" And you're like, "You were gone 5 minutes ago."
Mm.
It's fantastic.
Mm.
We
Beautiful.
actually, in operating rooms and all, we actually go on to our knees. We are not, there's no shame, there's no dignity, there's no false illusions, nothing. We go on our knees and we thank.
Mm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, yes.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Beautiful. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah,
beautiful.
great. And anyone else? Anything?
And the beauty of it all was 18 years later, that patient came to me. I had gone for the inauguration of a small center. And
Mm.
she says, "Doctor, do you remember me?" And I was like, "No,
Mm.
I don't." And she said, "You remember that I was this case?" And I was
Mm.
like, "My God, you come face to face with a
Mm.
miracle." Yeah.
Mm. Beautiful. Amazing. Yeah.
Monica, I have a question.
Yeah.
This second line, I mean, basically, I when I started this, like this was, I think, one of the first periods in which I felt a bit confused
Yeah.
because it starts with incomprehensible reality.
Yeah.
So probably incomprehensible means understood by mind, right? Because
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
end,
Hmm.
it's like,
Hmm.
and then you live in the harmony with that light. So that took me some
Yes.
time from there to there.
Yes.
But the
Yes. Yes.
second line,
Yeah.
whoever fleeced before, what does that mean? I
Yeah.
couldn't find the meaning of this word. I don't know if
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So flee means one who runs away, right? So
Yeah,
I think I touched upon shortly when I started in the beginning. So the moment I feel that I have touched truth,
it runs. Okay,
I
you're
see
saying
that it,
he's taking
yeah,
as flee. Okay,
it's
okay.
further away from me. Yeah, exactly. It was just relating also to the quote by Rumi that you were sharing
Yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
And effective though it may be, like all this running
Yeah.
is effective in a way. That's
So
what
let
it
me
says.
share. Yeah. So होता क्या है कि हमें लगता है that imagine that I may have a very small conquest like a
Yeah,
baby step taken in my life which appears for me like a true liberation for some time that wow, I feel really free
yeah,
what
yeah.
I have been. So mother is sharing that no matter how effective that conquest or that little baby step may be, it is
Mm,
nothing in front of you who is infinite. You are
mm,
still further away from me because
mm,
all that can be touched is finite.
mm, mm.
All that I can touch by the mind is finite.
Yeah,
That is why it is fleeing away and away from the grasp of the mind. I will never be able to grasp it in the mind.
yeah,
And that is why the incomprehensible reality. Yeah.
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 And one thing that came to me in the last line when you said the love that never dries.
Yeah.
It's like, but a lot of times because everything seems we start taking things as chores, right? Like this I have to do, that I have to do, like responsibilities and stuff. Like not something you want to do, but the haves
Mm.
sometimes make the love go dry. Like when
Yeah.
it turns from beauty to chores and I don't know again beauty from to usefulness. कि इसका use क्या है just means to an end always towards getting something.
Yeah, yeah. And as we were reading in Savitri, on these lines, if you remember, in the first symbol dawn, we
Yeah.
read these few lines, where it was a mention of mechanical, dumb routines.
Mechanical dumb routines,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There is dryness. Yeah,
And as soon as it becomes, it starts going towards that, you start feeling that, right? कि
yeah,
You this, yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So, are we thine for eternity? This is the question that we have to ask each moment, because again and again, as mother says, that I don't ever go away. you run from my pallu or my sari, you go away from my umbrella. So this is the question which I may, almost ask whenever I'm feeling here and there. Am I thine for at all eternity? Because more often we find ourselves living for falsehood, living for images and conceptions that we may have about in our mind regarding truth. And this is the question that we can ask, and we'll just be back again in our grounding if it is a possibility for each one of us. Are we thine for eternity? Yeah. So I think enough said, reflected, and we are ready to begin with the next batch. And we'll do a little bit of change for prayers and meditations. The part 4, and I'll just very soon I'll circulate the content or the course structure and also the poster. So in case you are feeling that there may be people who would be willing to join, just kind of spread it around, and it would be nice to begin again a new round. And thank you for collectively, coming together and making it an interesting journey so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I will end with these lines, Savitri lines, Monica.
Please do. Yes, yes, yes.
Although our fallen minds forget to climb, although our human stuff resists or breaks, she keeps her will that hopes to divinize clay. This is from Canto 1 of Book 4, The Birth and Childhood of the Flame. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks,
Monica,
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
You
Thank you,
were
Thank
a
you.
Monica. Yeah.
real inspiration to us. At least for me, it was like I would wait for the prayers and meditation to be released and then keep reading them the whole week. So it was almost a weekly endorsement of that prayer, and which would last the week and finish on Tuesday till we began again. So
Yeah,
it's going to be sad till we meet again.
yeah. We'll meet again soon if you are interested. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that is true. That is true. Yeah, I also resonate with you. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Chitradi,
Yeah. Yeah.
we should keep this going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
beautiful, beautiful.
Don't you have something called a life membership for prayers and meditation?
Interesting. That would be so nice.
Yeah,
I
can
think, and
Yeah,
I have to also say that many a times I thought, after the first round of prayers was over, then I discussed it with Taru whether I should, continue or not. And then
no,
Taru was the one who said, no, that we must
no,
continue
you
with
should
the first.
continue. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, Monica, really.
Thank you for all of you
Because
for
it is
encouraging and
totally
appreciating.
meaningful now, actually.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
but between you and Taru,
yeah.
I would say, honestly, Taru is the naughtier one.
Goodness. That's true. Yeah,
You're the solemn one. She's the naughtier one. So she sort of gives the punch to the whole thing. She
exactly.
begins usually with the whole talk. So, that sets the ball rolling. And then we are prepared for, your introspective, deep talk. But it's Taru who gives it the punch.
Great, great. Good to know that. Yeah.
Taru, am I right?
Yeah, I don't
Chup
know.
hai. Huh?
All her punches are going for a toss now. Yeah.
You're
Okay, great then.
cornered for the first time.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.